Hey everyone, my name is Wedge. Kaladesh Prerelease is right around the corner and we're here to tell you everything you need to know about the event. What you should expect, how the pre-release works, some general ideas about the set, and what you should pay attention to when opening your packs. There's a lot to go over in very little time, so let's get right into it. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button, helps out a lot. I cannot stress this enough. The pre-release for a set is probably the best event you could ever attend at a store. Excitement is at an all-time high, you get to interact with players of all different kinds, and everyone's just super pumped about the new cards. It really is a great time, so if you're on the fence about going, please go. At least try it once, you will not regret it. It's a great experience, trust me. Now, what should you expect from your pre-release? Well, after you pay the entry fee, which is going to be anywhere from $25 to $40, you'll be giving one of these. This is a pre-release pack for Kaladesh. Inside of the box, you'll get 6 packs of Kaladesh, a foil promo rare or mythic, and a nice little 20-sided die. Now, the pre-release is a sealed deck event, which means that you need to take those 6 packs and that promo, open them, and make the best 40-card deck out of those cards. You can't use cards from another pre-release pack, and you can't trade cards during the event with anyone else. You can only build your deck using your cards that you opened in that exact pre-release kit. It's important you remember that. In a sealed deck event, your deck has to be at least 40 cards. You can add more cards if you want to, but you really shouldn't. The more cards you put in a deck, the less of a chance you have to draw your best stuff. You don't want to tempt fate more than you already do by simply playing the game. So try to stick with 40 cards, lands included. Usually stores will provide basic land stations for you so you don't have to bring your own lands, but if you want to, you can. Sometimes I like bringing my unglued lands because I like to feel special, like how awesome they are. Right, anyways, now that you know the basics of the event, let's get into our sealed deck strategy. Remember, you can only use whatever you open in that pack, nothing more, so it's important to open all of your packs before you decide on playing anything. You need full information. So you open all your packs. What now? Well, I like to separate all the cards by color. It lets me know how deep I am in each color. A great first step in narrowing down what you're going to play. This is sealed deck, not draft, so you're diving in head first. You alone need to figure out where your sealed pool is strong and where it isn't. For instance, if you open twice as many green cards as you do red cards, there's a decent chance green is going to have better and deeper options for you than red. Of course, this may not always be true, but it's a general trend worth paying attention to. Also, one last logistical note, the promo, mythic, or rare that you can get, totally random. It can be any mythic or rare in the set, so good luck to you. So you need to start narrowing down your colors. While most players would look at their bomb rares and their promo first, I'm going to suggest something else. If you want to make the most effective deck, you're going to want to look at your answers, your removal. Whenever you or an opponent plays a giant creature, you're asking a question. Is this okay? Do I get away with this? Many games and matches and tournaments are decided by how many answers you have to your opponent's questions. So when I look at a sealed pool for the first time, I separate the removal, the answers. You need to be able to get rid of things you don't like. Some of your opponents are going to be playing Gearhawks. They just are. Having a way to deal with those is nice. Or any other big creature or spell you find yourself up against. So again, check your removal. I cannot stress enough how important this is as a first step. Step 2 only exists because I know we're all human. Look at your bombs. I know you want to play the giant amazing ridiculousness, but try to keep one thing in mind. Having a bomb creature isn't going to outright win you the pre-release, and it doesn't mean that you should play a crappy color because you have one good on-color rare. If the rest of that color is garbage, that rare isn't going to save you, especially if you never draw it. You win pre-releases with solid commons and uncommons, the meat of the deck. Rares and mythics, especially bomb ones, are of course very nice to have, but do not let them draw you into colors you shouldn't be playing. Of course, if you open a Virtuous Gearhawk, Nissa, and a Cultivator of Blades, then you should probably play, green. But you get what I mean. One bomb doesn't make a deck. 3 bombs, and now we're talking. Once you've identified your strongest removal colors and your best bomb cards, you should start to see colors becoming more or less attractive based on those. What really seals the deal for a good sealed deck? The commons and uncommons. So for the next part of the video, I'm going to tell you the commons and uncommons you should look for in each color to help you gauge how strong your pool is. Hopefully with these tips, you'll be able to identify the colors you should be in. Let's get started. We'll begin with white. Now, we've already covered removal being the first priority in identifying a strong pool, so we're not going to talk about revoke privileges or any other removal at the common or uncommon level. Assume that most all of it is playable. We're talking about the meat of the deck, the creatures and non-removal spells. As far as white is concerned, there are a couple decent white commons to look out for. Propeller Pioneer, Glint Sleeve Artisan, Thriving Ibex, and Aviary Mechanic are all decent creatures. The mechanic gets more valuable the more enter the battlefield effects you have. These are definitely your top tier white commons you should look for. Build to Last is a decent trick, Eddy Trail Hawk is okay, Sky Swirl Harrier is good, and even 9th Bridge Patrol is playable. These are the white commons to look out for. The bomb white uncommons are Fairgrounds Warden, Wisp Weaver Angel, and Visionary Augmenter. The Warden is a removal spell, but he's also a creature, so I figured I'd mention him again. The Angel is a powerful flicker effect on a strong flyer, and the Augmenter has a great fabricate ability for a fair cost. There are, of course, other uncommons that are good, but these are the best ones to signal you. Moving into blue, things get a little more complicated since the common creature slot isn't all that powerful, at least not as obviously powerful as the white creatures are, which is why spells are where you want to put your focus in blue. Select for Inspection and Ether Trade Winds are great common spells. When you move to the uncommon slot, Ceremonious Rejection is a powerful sideboard counter, Glimmer of Genius is a great draw spell, Shrewd Negotiation is insane. Blue is looking like much more of a support color than a primary color. If you're going to pair it with something else, try to make the other color at least somewhat decent at producing energy. Ether Theorist, Junjir Sentry, Minister of Inquiries, all of these care about energy, so pairing them with good energy producers could work out nicely for you. I will say this right now, if you don't open any removal in black, do not play the color unless you get legit every other card I'm about to mention. The removal in black is crazy strong, but the rest of the color isn't too hot. It isn't horrid by any means, but there's a lot of work to be done. If we're looking at the common slot, Ambitious Etherborn is alright. Live Fast is playable, Thriving Rats are okay. You see what I mean? Not great. The problem is that a lot of the potentially good black creatures require artifacts to be good. So if you get some decent artifacts, run these. If you don't, the color loses a lot of attractiveness. Oval Chase Daredevil, Foundry Screecher, Embrawl Bruiser, Dund Operative, all creatures that care about artifacts. You see what I mean? Now, there are useful cards in black that don't rely on artifacts. Like, you'll always want to look for Aetherborn Marauder because flying and lifelink wins games. Morbid Curiosity is probably a trap most of the time, so don't let it drag you into the color. It looks good and it can be, but it can also be dead. After that, there's not a whole lot of excitement. I mean, there are playable cards, obviously, but they're either rares, removal, or aren't worth mentioning because you shouldn't let them draw you into the color. Red is a color that has always relied on solid removal, and this set is no different, so make sure you pay attention to the removal in red. That's a lot of the common rarity power in the set. If you're looking at creatures that are decent, Wayward Giant is okay, Thriving Grubs is fine, Spontaneous Artist is a decent card, and Spireside Infiltrator is quite powerful, especially if you have vehicles. Now, if you have artifacts, Salivating Gremlins gets a lot better, Reckless Fireweaver is okay. Again, a lot of the common power is in removal. If we move to uncommons, there are lots of signals here. Aetherborn Renegade is incredibly strong and worth noting. Molfis Doorbuster is also a solid choice. Speedway Fanatic is great if you have vehicles, and Quicksmith Genius is powerful if you have artifacts. As you can see, most of the creatures in the color are either dependent on synergies to be good, or they're incredibly aggressive. So you're going to want to pair red with another aggressive color most of the time. Again, if you don't have a lot of removal in red, it loses a lot of its draw. Time to talk about green. I'll try not to be biased, but I gotta tell you, this color has a lot to draw you in. In the common slot, your best targets are Pima Outrider, Riparian Tiger, Thriving Rhino, and Wild Wanderer. All these cards are quite good, and if you find yourself with a decent amount of these, green should look pretty good to you. All great creatures on their own. If we're looking at the uncommon slot, Arborback Stomper is a huge draw, Elegant Edgecrafters is quite good, Servant of the Conduit is ridiculous, and Gyra Per Guide has a lot of value. As you can see, the depth of quality green creatures is pretty high. If you find yourself with a lot of Fabricate or ways to put +1/+1 counters on your creatures in general, green becomes even better. Those are the cards you want to be looking for. A pretty straightforward color, not meant to support another, definitely meant to lead. As I've said before, removal is king. Pay attention to that first. Then you can look at your bombs, but don't let them draw you into a color that isn't supported. How do you know a color is supported? See if it has a plethora of the cards I've listed above in addition to some removal. If you follow those 3 steps, I'm confident that you'll be able to build a solid seal deck. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed our pre-release guide for Kaladesh. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them below and I'll do my best to answer them. Also, be sure to let me know how you do during pre-release weekend. I'm excited to hear how it goes. As always, be sure to subscribe for the latest and most reliable Magic the Gathering information you could ever need. This is the Mana Source. I'm Wedge. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. This video is brought to you in part by TCGplayer.com. As we approach pre-release, you gotta be yearning for that Kaladesh, right? If you don't have an LGS, you can get your fix right here. Boxes are $95 each, while packs are only $3 a piece. If you want to draft or just open product and you don't have an affordable way to do so near you, click these links. We got your back. Enjoy.
Wow.